Hey, it's Scott with Great Resources for Coaches, and this is your 3-minute Thursday post for this week. And as I said the other day, get ready. This one's going to go longer than just 3 minutes because I'm in the final stages of this series I've been doing on confidence, and this is the last post actually about confidence in this series. And it's the second in a personal story that I'm talking about. I'm talking about what my son went through this past year in his basketball season. But quite honestly, this is going to go back to last year, even the prior year. Last time I talked about the impact that one of his teammates' words had on him. And today I want to talk about the coach's words and actions. And again, I'm speaking here as a 30-year veteran coach. I am not coming in here ready to just rip on my son's coach. My son's coach has done a nice job in a lot of ways with the team that he has, and it's been fun to watch the team, develop and grow. But there are things that we all can learn from when we watch other coaches coach. And I saw it firsthand with my son in terms of the words that this coach used and some of the actions that he chose to use over the last couple of years and how it affected my son's confidence. And again, I imagine all of us could say this about any situation that our own kids have gone through, and I'm sure there's hundreds of parents who could say the same thing about me through the years, that I should have chosen different words or tried a different tact with their kids. So I get it. But this is something for all of us as coaches to keep in mind when we're working with our kids. What happened to my son this year is, as I mentioned last time, he's a basketball player. He's pretty darn good with the ball. He's a good ball handler. His greatest gift is his ability to pass the ball. And he loves to try to push the ball into tight windows, which means he's going to have his share of turnovers, okay? But he's also going to be able to get the ball to players where they can score it and score it easily. It's what he loves to do most. Yes, he can shoot it, and that's one of the great things his coach always tells him. Hey, you're a good shooter, shoot the ball, okay? And that helps boost his confidence level. Although, here's one of the things that he struggled with a year ago, is being told, you're a good shooter, I want you to shoot it, and then when he does take a shot that the coach didn't like, he gets pulled out of the game. And it's like, okay, now, if you're going to tell him to shoot it, you need to make sure that when he takes a bad shot, you let him know, but you don't want to crush his confidence by immediately pulling him. And so that was a mixed message between the words and the actions. Well, this year there was a real clear message, and it was stated right before the first game, okay, during the week in practice, and it was no fancy passes. Now, my son hears that no fancy passes, and it's being said to everybody, but it's after he has just made a pass where he pushed the envelope in practice, and that statement is made by the coach. So what does my son hear? Don't push the envelope. That's not what his coach said. His coach said no fancy passes. But in my son's mind, he didn't then understand, well, what would a fancy pass be? Does it only mean I can throw a direct line, wide open chest pass? Or can I try this one down low and around somebody? Can I do a no look and here? See, to him, that shut all of that down. And quite honestly, you ask anybody who's watched him play through the years, they'll say that is the thing he does best, is finding people with either no looks or pushing that ball through a tight window. Yeah, he's going to have his share of turnovers, but the cost benefit, the risk reward, usually, most often with him, goes to the plus. He is constantly getting the ball into teammates' hands in good scoring positions. But yeah, he's going to have his share of turnovers. As a coach who coached this game for many years, I've had my share of players like that. And I would say the same thing that the coach said. We need to knock off the fancy passes. Make the simple pass has come out of my mouth so many times. However, I've also had players where I knew I didn't want to quell their ability to create. And so I would pull that kid aside and say, look, I know what you're trying to do. I want you to make sure you push that as much as you can, but you have to make good decisions. You can't force them when they're not there. Hoping that they'll understand that, yes, the simple pass is a good pass, but there are times where I want you to try to make that pass. As long as they're not going like this or through whatever it might be, as long as they are trying to make a pass that fits into the system and fits into who they are, that's a good thing. And so I want to, help boost that confidence level by saying, that's good, keep trying that. The moment my son heard no fancy passes, it completely shut him down. And he started to be a player where I'd look out on the floor, and as soon as the coach would take him out and then not put him back in, not because he made a bad pass or anything, just because he was taking him out and then he wasn't putting him back in. My wife and other people are saying, how come he doesn't go back in? And my thought was, why should he? What has he done? It's not that he did anything wrong. but he wasn't making an impact. Why? Because now everything he did was based on, I don't want to make a mistake. And so his confidence level continued to drop. And so all he would do is go out and make the simple pass, but it wasn't even a worthwhile pass. He would just make passes when he'd catch it to get rid of the ball so that he wouldn't make a mistake. That's not how you be a good player for any team in any sport. And so I watched that confidence level just continue to drop at the thing that he does best and that he liked most and that really helped his team the most. Late in the season, it got even worse. And he stopped really becoming the player that he stopped shooting the ball as well. I talked about last time, the words of his teammates, having an impact on that. But quite honestly, I believe that the overall effect of the words, no fancy passes, just led to him not feeling that his coach trusted him. So he shut himself down. And again, himself is a key in here. I've said this all along. My son is in control of his own confidence levels. He needs to be able to flush what his teammates are saying. And quite honestly, he needs to flush what his coach is saying. I'm not saying players shouldn't listen to their coaches, but they also have to take in what's being said, take the message, and then play within who they are and be the player that they are capable of being, no matter what they end up doing. And that was a really tough thing for him to do. It really opened my eyes as a coach. And as I coach kids, I have to really watch what I say, how I say it, and then how I back it up. And I hope all of us as coaches will take this message. Again, I'm not saying his coach made a mistake. I don't know that he did, because I would have probably pulled the kid who was making those kind of mistakes the same way. But I don't know, as I look on it now, as I know this player, I don't know that I might not have then at some point pulled him aside and said, look, you're kind of playing like a shell of who you are capable of being. And I'm worried that maybe you just aren't trying to force things because you've been told not to. You know what? Just go out and play your game. Just go out and do your thing and see if that might have helped. And I might have to bite the bullet. I'm thinking of a player that I coached just a few years ago who was exactly that kind of player. And I did quell his creativity when he was a sophomore. But by his junior year, I realized I need to let some of that go. He's going to have some turnovers. But boy, did he create some things for us that nobody else on the team could have done. Anyway, this is a longer post, obviously a lot longer than 3 minutes, but I wanted to wrap up this concept of confidence and make sure that we as coaches understand that our words and our actions play such a huge role in the confidence level of our players. And of course, as I said all along, yes, that player is in control of his or her confidence level individually, absolutely. But the things that we say and do, the things that teammates say and do, play a huge role in how well that confidence level continues to rise or unfortunately might drop and fall. So let's make sure we go out and do all that we can to help our players have the best confidence levels when they are involved in any of their competitions, and let's give them the best chance at success. Thanks so much for watching these posts on confidence, and thanks so much for reading these. I hope you've enjoyed them as much as I've enjoyed bringing them to you. Sorry this one went over 8 minutes, but I knew this was going to happen, and I hope you're okay with it. I'll get back to truly 2 and 3 minutes next week. So have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.